I'm Martia Rackman, co-founder of Black Mountain Yoga and Black Mountain Yoga Therapy teacher training. This is Jamie, and today we're going to be working with her chronic low back pain. So I'm going to ask Jamie to go ahead and turn around to her side so that you can see maybe why she might be having low back pain. If you notice, she has quite an extreme lordosis, which means a deep curvature of her lower back. This might be attributed to a weaker abdomen. I'm going to go ahead and bring Jamie into anatomical position, and then we'll look at a few postures that will really sustain her through anatomical position. So Jamie, I'm going to invite you to inner spiral your quadriceps. Good. And as she just did that, it caused her buttocks to even move back more. It caused more lordosis. But now I'm going to encourage her to loop her kidneys backward, to really engage her navel in and back toward her spine, and her pelvis lifts up toward her navel. Please notice that I'm not encouraging her to dive or take her tailbone down, okay? More pelvis lifts upward. So as she does that, then her shoulders might feel a little awkward, that I could just kind of bump her and she might fall forward. So I'm going to ask her then to roll her shoulders down her back. That then might encourage her to go back into that lordosis. So again, I'm just going to ask her, can you imagine your kidneys moving back? So the navel center gets really strong. Good. And then I'm going to remind her again, quadriceps inner spiral. That was a lot of information to just forget the lower part. Okay? How do you feel, Jamie?
It's tall and straight.
So you'll notice now the lordosis has started to disappear, and her lower back's actually getting stronger. Her abdomen is getting strong, and she's not sucking in at all. This is all just bringing her body into anatomical alignment. And now we'll do our yoga poses. That will help facilitate this practice. I'm going to ask Jamie to come into tabletop the way she normally would. So here again, you see this deep lordosis. So anyone could really understand, without much anatomy education, why this would cause low back pain. Okay? And she's not a heavy person by any means, so it's not like she's got a belly or a gut that's dragging her low back down, which a lot of times you do find lower back pain calls from that reason. So I'm going to again ask her to find that anatomical position that we found earlier. So she expands her kidneys, and then she just lifts her pelvis up toward her navel, right? So this is giving her lumbar spine a lot of space, okay? Now from here, I'm going to ask her to really just make this a muscle memory. Relax and melt her heart. Head of the humerus into the shoulder. Good. Good. Strong here. Strong here. Good. This is the perfect tabletop for Jamie. Before her yoga practice, she needs to come here to find anatomical position after standing. So I'm going to ask Jamie now to come down onto her belly. Good. And she's going to straighten her legs out a nice hip width apart. This is going to allow space for her sacrum and her tailbone to descend downward inside of her legs when she comes up into the next posture. So literally come up onto your fingertips, Jamie, so that you're creating a cup under inside of your hand. Good. What this does is it allows the back to strengthen much more than if she were just flat-handed. It also helps to open the heart. And she's going to squeeze her elbows in, relax her shoulders, and loop them down the back. Good. Now this is going to be Jamie's posture. Really come up onto your fingertips a little bit more so you're really creating that cup. Good. Or make it comfortable for you. Good. And then squeeze your elbows in. Good. Now I can feel by palpating her back, this is causing a lot of back strength for her. And you might be able to see too that my fingers aren't just melting into her flesh. Now, as she sends her tailbone down, that's going to be her first movement, she can start to lift her chest up into a very baby cobra, extending her tailbone downward, her pelvis upward, making space into that lower back. Good. Squeeze your elbows in more, Jamie. Good. And take one more deep breath. And here her low back is really learning to strengthen. Okay? Good. Exhale and release. And a good counter pose after this posture is child's pose. Pushing the child's pose. Because of Jamie being new to her yoga practice and to this new way of being in her body, in anatomical alignment, I'm going to only give her a good 5 to 15 minute practice. I don't want to overwhelm her. So the next things I'm going to want her to work on, other than back strengthening, is core strengthening, so that she has something to help lift her pelvis up, to keep her navel into center instead of flowing out. Okay? So as she interlaces her hands around the nape of her neck, she's just going to hold there. I'm going to ask Jamie to squeeze this 3-inch edge of the block in between both of her knees. For some people, this is already a lot, to really feel the psoas muscle, which connects around the lumbar spine inside of the hip joint. Okay? So if Jamie can take more, which I believe she can, I'm going to ask her to lift her knees up 90 degrees. Okay? And now her real work here is spreading her toes to engage her leg muscles, and then squeezing that block with her knees or inner thighs. Okay? I'm going to ask Jamie to spend 5 deep breaths here to really encourage more deep abdominal strength. And now slowly release your feet down to the floor. Okay. I'm going to release her block, ask her to take her hands down by her sides now. And because of that abdominal strength, I want her to then open her belly back up. So I'm going to invite her to come into bridge pose. So if you will, bring your heels underneath your hips, hands down by your sides. Inhale, push your shoulders into the floor. Good. And now inhale and start to lift your pelvis up. As you're doing this, she's creating space. She's dragging her hips away from her ribs, making the waistline long. Good. Now I'm going to bring this block back inside of her knees. Good. Separate your feet about another inch. Good. You always want to make sure that the ankles are in alignment with the knees are in alignment with the hips. Okay? Good. So inhale, lift up just any bit more. She's really feeling this in her lower back. At the same time, stretching her psoas and her abdomen. And now on this exhalation, come down 1 vertebra at a time, really lengthening out your spine. Good. And release the block and stretch out your legs. And we're going to let Jamie now rest in Shavasana, corpse pose. And slowly coming back, Jamie. I'm going to ask you to roll onto your side. This allows Jamie's back to not go into any shock, and her nervous system to slowly awaken. And slowly, using your top hand, pull yourself back up to seated. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today, this yoga therapy of the lower back. Please join us for other segments of using yoga and yoga therapy. You can find us online at blackmountainyoga.com and in downtown beautiful Black Mountain, North Carolina. I'm Martia Rockman. Namaste.